Mm. The membrane separating what you've been waiting for from what you're about to experience just thinned to the point of transparency. What the cards reveal reads like culmination energy compressed into narrow window, like momentum that's been building in silence suddenly finding outlet, like pressure that's been accumulating without visible release point finally locating the crack through which it can pour. The oracle shows me convergence happening in compressed time frame, not the slow unfold you've been experiencing, the rapid kind, where multiple variables that have been circling each other independently suddenly collapse into singular event that reorganizes everything around it. You are magnetized to this transmission because your field carries signature of someone standing at threshold they don't see yet. The intelligence governing synchronicity doesn't broadcast urgency unless the energetic architecture around you is already reorganizing itself toward something imminent. Ground into your physical body right now, because what I'm channeling requires you present, not scattered, requires you anchored, not floating in speculation about what might unfold. What the cards suggest is happening operates on timeline that doesn't wait for your readiness, your understanding, or your permission. The cards reveal acceleration, the kind that happens when resistance finally breaks and what's been held back rushes forward with force proportional to how long it was constrained. Like dam cracking, like wound that's been sealed improperly finally opening so it can drain properly. I'm receiving imagery of someone receiving information they weren't expecting, not gentle news delivered with preparation time, the kind that lands without warning and requires immediate metabolization, the kind that forces recalibration of everything you thought you understood about your situation. Your pulse just shifted reading that, didn't it? Let me decode what tonight actually signifies in context of how cards measure time versus how clocks measure time. Cards don't operate on linear schedule. When energy reads as imminent, that could mean hours, could mean days, could mean the moment your awareness shifts enough to recognize what's already present but hasn't been seen yet. The urgency the cards reveal isn't about specific hour on specific day. The urgency is about you being in state of readiness for something that's already in motion, whether you feel prepared or not. About you understanding that the window for certain choices is narrowing, that the space for certain actions is closing, that momentum is building toward breakthrough that won't announce itself politely before arriving. For some of you, this reads as communication incoming. The cards suggest someone is preparing to speak something they've been rehearsing internally. Someone has reached decision point, and that decision is about to become your reality through their words, through their admission, through their finally saying out loud what's been gestating in silence. But here's Shadow the Cards One exposed. Communication incoming doesn't guarantee communication you want to hear. Message arriving doesn't mean message that serves you. Someone breaking their silence doesn't mean their truth will set you free. It might just transfer their burden onto you. So the preparation required isn't about getting excited for good news. The preparation is about being grounded enough to receive whatever actually comes without it destabilizing you completely. Being centered enough that someone else's truth doesn't shatter yours. For others, this reads as realization crystallizing, not external event, internal recognition. The cards suggest you've been avoiding seeing something clearly, been negotiating with truth that's been obvious but uncomfortable, been telling yourself stories that reality keeps contradicting. And something about the energy right now is forcing that avoidance to end, making the thing you've been not seeing become unignorable, creating conditions where continued denial costs more than facing what's real. Drop a key emoji in the comments if something just unlocked that you've been keeping locked deliberately. Now, let me go deeper into why the cards emphasize discretion, why they suggest not speaking about what you're sensing or receiving until after it fully materializes. When something is in process of manifesting, speaking about it prematurely can disrupt the energetic formation, like opening oven before cake is done, like exposing photograph to light before development completes. The energy needs privacy to solidify into form without interference from other people's reactions, opinions, doubts. The cards reveal specifically that some people in your field carry energy that could destabilize what's forming if they know about it too soon. Not because they're malicious, because their fear, their skepticism, their projections, these create interference patterns that slow or redirect manifestation momentum. So the silence required isn't about keeping secrets for drama's sake. The silence is strategic, protective, allowing what wants to emerge to do so without being shaped by external input before it's strong enough to maintain its own form. I'm receiving imagery of seed underground, in darkness, in silence, growing. But if you dig it up to check on it, to show people, to get validation that it's actually growing, you damage the roots. You interrupt the process that requires darkness to complete. What's forming for you right now requires that same protected space, that same privacy, that same trust that something is happening even though you can't see it fully yet, and even though not everyone else sees it. Tell me in the comments if your throat just tightened around something you've been wanting to talk about but shouldn't yet. Let me reveal what the cards suggest about how to move with this energy rather than against it, keeping language probabilistic because cards illuminate patterns, not predetermined scripts. First, stay present. The tendency when something feels imminent is to catapult into future, to start imagining every possible scenario, to rehearse every potential conversation, to plan for every variable. But that scattering of attention actually delays what's trying to arrive because manifestation requires presence, requires your energy anchored in now, not dispersed across 50 possible futures. So when your mind starts spinning into what if and maybe and when this happens, then pull yourself back, feel your feet, notice your breath, anchor in body rather than getting lost in mental projection. Second, create space, not physical space necessarily, though that might be part of it, energetic space. The cards suggest that what's trying to come through needs room. And if your life is so packed, so scheduled, so managed that nothing unexpected can fit, you create resistance to your own breakthrough. So look at the next 24 to 48 hours. What can you cancel? What can you postpone? What can you create emptiness in so that when the thing arrives, you have capacity to receive it without having to force it into cracks between other obligations? Third, trust without attachment. The cards show delicate balance here. You need to trust that something significant is forming, but you can't be so attached to specific outcome that if it manifests differently than you imagined, you miss it entirely. What's coming might not look how you pictured, might not feel how you expected, might not arrive through channel you were watching. And if you're rigid about what breakthrough has to be, you'll reject the actual breakthrough because it doesn't match your fantasy. Now, let me address what the cards warn about specifically regarding how to receive what arrives without it destroying what you've built. First warning, not all breakthrough is positive breakthrough. Sometimes what breaks through is truth you didn't want confirmed. Sometimes what arrives is ending you've been avoiding. Sometimes what becomes undeniable is that the thing you hoped would shift isn't shifting, and that recognition is the breakthrough, even though it feels like collapse. So prepare your nervous system for possibility that the urgency the cards show is about reckoning, not reward, about finally facing what you've been postponing, not finally receiving what you've been wanting. And if that's what comes to the cards suggest, it's still necessary, still serving you, even if it doesn't feel like blessing. Because truth that hurts is still more useful than delusion that comforts. Second warning, rapid shift creates instability even when it's desired shift. If something you've been wanting suddenly manifests, your system might not know how to hold it, might panic, might sabotage, might reject it, because receiving at that speed feels dangerous to nervous system that's been conditioned for scarcity. So if what arrives is something good, something wanted, something you've been working toward, don't let shock make you push it away. Don't let the speed of its arrival make you doubt its validity. Don't let old patterns of unworthiness convince you it's too good to be real, so you better destroy it before it destroys you. Third warning, what arrives might require immediate choice, not the slow, considered kind, the now kind, where you either say yes or the window closes, where you either act or the opportunity passes, where hesitation equals no by default. The cards suggest possibility of convergence that demands decision without the luxury of deliberation time you usually require. And that's going to feel uncomfortable if you're someone who needs to analyze every angle before committing. But some opportunities don't wait. Some moments have expiration built in. And if you're not prepared to move quickly when the opening presents, you might watch it close while you're still deciding whether to walk through. Comment what's shifting in your body reading that, if you're willing to be honest about your fear of quick decisions. Let me reveal what the cards show about what happens after assuming something does manifest in the time frame this energy suggests. After is when integration begins. The cards show clearly that receiving the thing isn't the end of the process. It's beginning of different process, the process of learning to hold what you received, to maintain what manifested, to build from the breakthrough rather than just celebrating it and then returning to baseline. Many people get the breakthrough and then immediately start dismantling it. Not consciously, but through old patterns asserting themselves, through doubt creeping in once the initial excitement fades, through fear of actually having what they wanted, making them sabotage so they can return to familiar territory of wanting instead of uncomfortable territory of having. The cards warn against that pattern, suggest that what might arrive needs you to fight for it not just before it manifests, but after. Needs you to defend it against your own mechanisms that are more comfortable with lack than abundance, more familiar with struggle than ease. So if breakthrough happens, the real work begins. The work of being person who can sustain breakthrough rather than person who just experiences it temporarily before unconsciously destroying it. Now, let me address what might be happening in your field right now that you're interpreting as nerves or anxiety, but is actually something else. Your system is recalibrating. The cards show energetic preparation happening at cellular level. Your body knows something is approaching before your mind consciously registers it. And that knowing creates physical sensations, heightened alertness, difficulty sleeping, appetite changes, emotional sensitivity. You might be interpreting those sensations as anxiety, as something wrong. But the cards suggest those sensations are your system preparing to receive upgraded senses coming, like software updating before a new program can run, like structure reinforcing before additional weight gets added. So don't pathologize what you're feeling. Don't make it mean something's wrong with you. What you're feeling might be exactly right, might be your system doing exactly what it needs to do to prepare for shift your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. Your whole nervous system just said yes to something, didn't it? Comment what you're recognizing about sensations you've been having that this just reframed. So, as we close this transmission, here's what the cards want anchored in your awareness before whatever this energy is pointing toward manifests. Something might be forming in compressed time frame, might be approaching threshold of visibility, might be preparing to reorganize elements of your reality that have felt stuck or stagnant. But might isn't guarantee. Urgency isn't certainty. And your preparation isn't about controlling outcome. It's about being present enough to recognize and receive whatever actually emerges. You can't force this, can't manipulate timeline, can't make it happen through will or desperation or perfect behavior. What's forming forms according to its own laws, its own timing, its own requirements. Your participation is about readiness, about creating internal conditions that allow reception, about being grounded enough that rapid shift doesn't destabilize you, about trusting enough that you can receive without immediately dismantling what arrives, and about understanding that breakthrough might look like ending, might look like loss, might look like the thing you didn't want finally becoming undeniable so you can stop negotiating with it and start dealing with reality. Not all breakthrough feels good initially. Some breakthrough feels like everything falling apart, so it can reorganize into structure that actually serves you rather than structure you've been maintaining out of obligation or fear. Whatever comes, you have capacity to hold it. Not because you're special, because you're here, because you were pulled to this message, because something in you recognized the frequency of imminent shift and said yes to hearing about it before it arrives. That recognition is preparation. That yes is readiness. That willingness to sit with uncertainty about what specifically is approaching while trusting that something is. That's the consciousness shift that allows manifestation to complete. Gratitude for receiving this with seriousness it requires. The urgency is real. The outcome is variable. Your preparation is everything. Stay present, stay grounded, stay quiet about what you're sensing until it solidifies enough to speak about without disrupting its formation. And